Sparta, a city-state whose name still evokes awe and admiration, stands as one of the most enigmatic phenomena in the annals of ancient Greece. Shrouded in myths of valiant warriors and the eternal glory of the Battle of Thermopylae, Sparta presented a unique social structure, rife with contrasts and internal contradictions. On the one hand, the Spartans rightly commanded widespread respect for their military might and unyielding spirit. On the other, their society was steeped in brutality and rigid order. Beneath the image of heroic warriors lay a system built on exploitation and oppression. In this study, we will journey into the world of Sparta to uncover its true essence. We will trace the life of a Spartan warrior from birth to death, examining their training, daily life, and values. Concurrently, we will not overlook those who remained in the shadows of glory, the enslaved and oppressed, whose labor sustained the existence of this extraordinary state. Our aim is to shed light on aspects of Spartan life you may not have heard of, and to unravel the mysteries of this astonishing and contradictory society. At the apex of the Spartan social pyramid were the homoioi, known as the equals, or peers. These full citizens and warriors formed the backbone of Spartan society, its military elite. The path to homoioi status was fraught with hardship and deprivation. From the age of 7, boys underwent the rigorous evokes, a system of upbringing that tested their physical endurance, moral fortitude, and loyalty to the state. The evokes was not merely a school but a true trial by fire, designed to transform young Spartans into invincible warriors. Only those who successfully completed this grueling training were deemed worthy of being called true Spartans. Failure in the evokes meant not only the loss of social status but also becoming an outcast, stripped of all rights and privileges. Even after marriage, Spartan men continued to live in military barracks until the age of 30, underscoring their unwavering devotion to duty and limited personal freedom. Spartan society, renowned for its military might and ascetic way of life, was characterized by severely restricted personal freedom. In this polis, there was no room for individual aspirations, travel, or self-discovery. The life of every citizen belonged entirely to the state, wholly subservient to its interests and needs. In Sparta's social hierarchy, immediately below the homoioi, the full citizens, were the perioikoi, a term meaning dwellers around. These free people, though they contributed to Sparta's military strength, were denied the right to participate in state governance. The perioikoi enjoyed a degree of independence, engaging in crafts and trade, yet their activities and movements were under the close scrutiny of Spartan authorities. At the lowest rung of Spartan society were the helots, an enslaved population, primarily descendants of the Messenians, who had been conquered by Sparta in bloody wars. Unlike slaves in other Greek polis, the helots were the property of the state. They were forced to work the land allocated to Spartan warriors. Each Spartiate was granted a land allotment, known as a kleros, along with a group of helots to cultivate it. This system allowed Spartan citizens to dedicate themselves entirely to military service, free from agricultural concerns. However, this system had a dark side. The Spartans lived in constant fear of the helots, whose numbers vastly outnumbered the Spartiates. They dreaded revolts and uprisings. To maintain control over the helots, Sparta annually declared war on them, thereby granting Spartans the legal right to kill any helot they considered a potential threat. The Cryptia, a secret police force composed of young Spartan aristocrats, was tasked with keeping the helots in submission, terrorizing them and suppressing any signs of discontent. It was a cruel and despotic system that kept the helots in perpetual fear and humiliation. What, then, served as the binding element for Sparta, preventing it from collapsing under the weight of internal contradictions? The answer is simple: fear. Fear of helot rebellion, fear of showing weakness, fear of any change. This pervasive fear permeated all aspects of Spartan society, dictating the training methods of its warriors and its treatment of the lower classes. Sparta was a society built on total control, where the life of every citizen was subservient to one goal: the preservation of Spartan power. Sparta's relentless authority rested on strict discipline and unquestioning obedience, enabling it to keep a vast enslaved population in check and maintain the dominance of a small Spartan elite. However, such an iron grip inevitably had negative consequences for Spartan society itself. Over time, the once impeccably functioning system began to falter. By the 4th century BCE, the number of Spartans had dwindled catastrophically due to low birth rates and immense losses in continuous warfare, undermining the very foundation of the polis's military might. In 371 BCE, Sparta suffered a devastating defeat at the Battle of Leuctra at the hands of the Theban army, led by the brilliant general Epaminondas. This defeat heralded the decline of Spartan hegemony in ancient Greece. As Sparta's military power waned, its rigid social structure, founded on fear and violence, began to gradually unravel. The very fear that once cemented Spartan society now became the cause of its demise. Deprived of sufficient citizen support and with a weakening system of control, Sparta lost its dominant position as the most powerful polis in Greece, yielding to other, more flexible and progressive states. The fall of Sparta serves as a stark warning to societies that build their prosperity on fear and oppression. Even the strongest warriors cannot forever hold power if their strength is based on inequality, brutality, and the trampling of human dignity. Spartan society presented a paradoxical combination of incredible military might and brutal oppression. Warriors, celebrated for their heroism and valor, relied on a system that maintained their dominance through fear, violence, and total control over all aspects of citizens' lives. And while Sparta's military legacy continues to stir the imagination and inspire heroic deeds, its rigid, inflexible structure ultimately led to the decline and eventual oblivion of this once great polis.